Can you guys see my screen? And can you see clearly, or are you seeing? I feel like it's showing.
So but can you try to adjust so that we can see properly?
Oh, you're seeing two screens. You're seeing this screen in the next slide, right?
Yes.
Okay. Second. I think. There. Can you? Oh, shush. Now you can see my whole screen, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So when we talk about social media, conflict and lexicon of hate speech terms, those are like they're the same, but they are also separate things. And I would like to know what's the most popular social media platform in South Sudan? I'll pick on someone. Paulino.
Yes.
What's the most popular social media platform used in South Sudan?
One of the most popular in South Sudan, I can see the Facebook is overwhelming, and then Twitter's and as Google's. Mm-hmm. So these are the big things, but the Facebook is the first one, I think.
Okay. You realize one of the reasons I asked you that is one of the things that happens in now current times is social media changes so quickly. Ideally, or as is, we don't really have Twitter anymore. It's been renamed to X, and it has a whole different business model. Facebook is still Facebook, but then it's now under Meta, as opposed. If you've been on social media for as long as I have been, Facebook started from, way, I think in 2008, is it 9 or 8? And it's changed over the course of years. Now under Meta, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, and there's the new one, Threads. Has anyone joined Threads here? I haven't joined Threads by choice. Does anyone have a Threads account? Wek, hello, good morning.
Yes.
Do you have Threads? Do you have a Threads account?
Yes, I have.
Oh, how is it? And why did you join Threads?
What is the I joined Threads?
Why? Yeah, what's the reason?
We share a lot of experience with you guys because to get more knowledge about the media. Also, not everyone else all the skill, but I want to get more knowledge about this social media things.
Oh, okay. But then you realized when you joined, when you're not speaking, you can mute yourselves. You realize when you join, like, for example, Threads, you give up a lot of information. Like even when you join, Twitter, Facebook, when you receive advertisements, you'll receive as advertisements as like, even if you're seated on the same, table and we are doing different things, they have information about you that you have given them in Threads. One of my reasons, at least why I haven't joined the Threads, and I don't think I will, is they have a lot of things they're asking for. Like when you deactivate, I don't know, I hope that has changed, but apparently when you deactivate your Threads account, you also would lose your Instagram account because it's tied to Instagram. I have no idea if that's true because I'm not on Threads, and I have frankly not tried to be that interested in Threads. But then you realize there's so much on social media. You have to be very, very careful as a person on what you consume, because then what you consume really also drives your choices. Like, for example, I don't know if you found yourselves on TikTok and you spend like 1 hour just scrolling, you're like, oh shit, sorry for the word, but you're like, oh, time is over. Like you forget so many other things. So it's also it sort of reels you in, and you have to be a bit careful, I find. Is TikTok popular in South Sudan? Rufina Isaac. Hi, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, TikTok is very popular and people are using it for entertainment, education.
Mm. Oh, okay. Yes, Paulina.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying something. So TikTok is new, of course. And you find at least I find in Kenya, TikTok is it's very wide. It has a very wide base in that it covers so many people, but then you have to be very careful how you use it, because like, for example, I'm pretty sure you guys have had that rumor, like I don't know, maybe you haven't, in the middle of the night, like when it gets to 12 a.m. In Kenya, on TikTok is a whole different thing. It has, for lack of a better word, people sort of just stripping and showing themselves. It's very invasive, I find, and you have to be very, very careful what you consume. But it also is quite divisive, because like last week, there's an influencer in Kenya who attacked another influencer online on TikTok. Like they made a whole TikTok video defaming and the other person, and then the other influencer just took them to court, and they were arrested by the police. They had a case. Now they have an ongoing case, of course, but they spent time in jail. So also, I think it's a very quickly changing market that you have to be careful, especially you as journalists, how you use social media. One of the main things of social media uses, features rather, is it provides instantaneous communication. I don't know if you guys are seeing my screen properly. It has it also allows you to share types of different multimedia contents, videos, audios, images, text, short text, long text, and then it also has a big global reach. So you have to really be very careful how you use it, but you can also use it. I mean, like right now, it's cheaper to communicate with people who are not living in the country that you live in. On my next slide, I would like to know how do you use social media? You personally, like, let me see who I will ask this question. Angelina, good morning. Hello. Okay. Angelina, hello. How are you?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Pleasure. I'm good. I
How
had flu, but I'm recovering.
Oh, Pole, I'm so sorry.
Asante.
You as a person, as yourself, how do you use social media?
Yeah, as a person, I use it to, to share maybe content and information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it is also helpful, like to chat with family members that are far.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it connects me with families and also content sharing.
That's good to know.
Yes.
Paul, how do you use social media? So Angelina uses social media for communication and information dissemination. Paul? I'm sorry, I'm picking on everyone. So if you join and you're new, apologies in advance. Okay. Theophilus, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. How do you use social media?
Thank you very much. This is Theophilus from Eastern Equatoria Torrid, and based on the use of social media, as a news writer, sometimes I normally used to prefer Facebook to give update, more especially on some other breaking news, where sometimes I share with some other friends also who are also journalists, so that they also cope up with the information. And sometimes I do also use it for sharing information, sending messages with my colleagues. I use WhatsApp in doing other some meaningful communications as a journalist.
Thank you so much. Daudi Kwol, good morning. How do you use social media, you personally?
I'm really sorry. I'm in noisy place. I was just trying to listen.
It's okay. I was just asking, you're welcome, how you use social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. How do you personally use social media? He's left. Okay, so then social media. Oh, okay, you're back. Sorry, Bidya? Okay, so I was saying, so social media, it has very many, like currently, when social media started, Bidya, can you please mute yourself? Bidya, would you please mute yourself? Let me mute you. Okay, muted. So social media, if you think about it, initially when it came around, it just used to be used for real-time communication and sharing of information. But now there's also more to that. In that, even sharing of information, you find government institutions, for example, in Kenya, we normally say when you have a problem with your power, you text on Twitter directly to Kenya Power, they will respond you quicker than if you call them, because then they will be afraid of being shamed. And that brings up an aspect of individual advocacy, whereby there's also so many movements and grassroots organizations that have really mobilized causes that they care about. Like if you remember in Nigeria, they had the End SARS movement, where police were killing young people, and then it was a very popular thing. Right now, they don't. Police are now sort of like they've actually been very not as silent as they would hope to be, but then there's not much like people are aware that these things are happening. There's also, if you think about climate crisis, for example, people talk about the climate crisis a lot. There's many things happening. You realize that those things are happening on social media, which you wouldn't have known about before. If you think about the Black Lives Matter movement, so it means you can actually use it for just more than communication. There's also self-expression. As much as you're communicating, you find there's a lot of people do poetry, videos, podcasts. I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of podcasts you like listening to. When you share memes and humor on social media, that's also a form of self-expression. And then there's shaping public opinion and sentiments. You'll find, like, for example, right now, if you think about what's happening in Niger, Niger and all the countries around the Sahel region, if you think about the crisis in Sudan right now, these people have many opinions on that, and they are able to share those opinions because of social media. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have opinions on that, especially being journalists. So yeah, the next thing, we look at social media and conflict. So if you look at this, the slide I've shared right now, it lists misinformation, malinformation, disinformation or doxing, polarization in echo chambers, hate speech and extremism, cyberbullying and harassment, trolling and provocation. I am pretty sure as journalists, you're very aware about trolling and provocation, cyberbullying and harassment, what hate speech and extremism means. So I'd like us to probably focus on the first four, because one of the things that we do as people a lot, I also find myself doing it a lot, is when I talk about social media, I talk about, oh, hate speech, yeah, that's fake news. But then really, what is fake news? So someone tell me what they understand by misinformation. What is misinformation? Let me see who I will ask. Use your own words. It's not complicated. It's something very easy, just anything, how you can define it. What? Hello, good morning. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Have I? What, Panyuan?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
What is misinformation? What do you understand when I say misinformation?
Yeah, misinformation is like somebody deceive you with different information that with the intention that maybe that person has an interest. Then, and instead of giving you the real information, they are going to give you wrong one. That is how I can define the misinformation. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Misinformation is when someone deliberately gives you information that is intended to deceive you. And I'm pretty sure we know the major culprits of that, at least in Kenya. And in South Sudan, we sort of share similar aspects. Our politicians lie to us a lot. They know the truth, but then they do not tell us the truth. They deliberately tell us information that then deceives us, in that it makes us then make decisions that are not based on the truth. So malinformation. Alakir Chor, how are you? Alakir?
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
You have a very nice name.
Thank you.
What is malinformation in your own words?
Okay. In my own words, I think malinformation is sometimes when one gets information and then like you continue to share it, like you don't exactly if it's misinformation, but you just continue to share it like without knowing, unknowingly. I think that's malinformation.
Okay. So it is true, but it's also malinformation is true. You receive information, it could be true information, and then what you do is you use that information to harm people. Like if I have information, it's true information, and then I'll probably use it to, like, for example, I'm going to use this example, which I don't even have the correct facts. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you guys remember when Kenya was hacked last week. It was like a DDoS attack on e-citizen, on our e-government system. And then everybody was like, yeah, those are South Sudanese who did that. And then other people were like, no, those are Sudanese people who did that. Yet they really didn't, like, there was no information, like there was no verification to that. So I think, in my opinion, I would consider that malinformation. You also find malinformation in terms of, like, for example, when you have a partner, this is going to be very out there, but anyway, when you have, say, a husband or a boyfriend, and then you take photos, like you take, nude photos, and then after you guys have broken up, that person then goes and shares those photos of you. They are true photos, they are true representation of you, but then they're using that information to harm you as a person. And this is quite unfortunate because it happens a lot to women. I'm not saying men don't get that, but the bigger magnitude, like 99% of the time, these things happen to women. All right. And if you have any question, please feel free to stop me and ask me any question, because also it's a learning experience. I'm sure we are learning together. So disinformation, let me see, disinformation, Charles Andrea, good morning. Charles? Okay, let me pick someone else. Die with the butterfly. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, so with this information, you basically create false information deliberately with the purpose to cause harm. So that's what I understand by disinformation.
That exactly, and you find it's mostly used by organizations rivaling each other, maybe even sometimes the government might use propaganda to, I don't know, to systematically influence you to, make specific decisions. So that's correct. I don't even have to add any more to it. Polarization and echo chambers. So this is a bit, not wide, but it's a bit, it's not just one thing. So let me see. Chol Ayik, good morning. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. If I'm not, you will correct me when you answer. Chol, good morning. Okay, I'm gonna pick someone else. Probably I'll pick someone I picked before.
Can I information?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's like
yes.
It's the information that it's the information that is misleading, false or misleading for some kind of purpose, like a political, like a political objective. Yeah.
Can you repeat yourself? There was some noise. Someone had some noise, so I didn't hear you correctly.
Okay, I'm like, it's the information that is misleading, false, or misleading for some kind of purpose, especially for political issues or political objectives.
Yes, exactly. So also, if you think about polarization in echo chambers, you find people with, like, for example, if we have a similar opinion, you and I, we're just in this echo chamber that I'm not open to having, discussions with, say, for example, me and you, Daudi, we believe, say, for example, there's aliens and we have all these theories and we use this information to then, we try to use this information to either create this narrative that about aliens. I don't know if they're there or not, maybe they are. But then also we are in our own little bubble that we do not really want to learn anything else, such that if ever, say, for example, Chol comes and says, no, I don't think that's true. I think there's more information that says this is this. We are very stuck on this one particular thing, which is how you find, like, for example, when people start dividing themselves along political lines or along ethnic lines, for example, which is something I think is very common between South Sudan and Kenya, you find, like, for example, say I'm from whatever tribe I'm from is saying, hypothetically, if I was Luo, and we believe in this specific thing, we believe, like, for example, in Kenya, we've been marginalized, we've not really received any help, but then we're not open to looking at things any other way. Or if we are, say, for example, Kikuyu, and I'm Kikuyu, and I believe the only person who can lead this country, Kenya, is a Kikuyu person, I would not then be open to listening to someone from, say, Luo, Luya, or I'm using these examples hoping that you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. So yeah, so that would be also a very good example of an echo chamber. And if you think about echo chambers also, if you think about the, the Rwanda genocide, it happened because, you know, the Tutsis and Hutus, they had different ideals, that people who hated one tribe, and they used that information to polarize people so much that the other people were literally killed for, you know, you're killed just for existing, which I think we also don't take into consideration a lot what happens when we do small steps, like when we say small things that we assume are unhurtful to other people, but in hindsight, they probably are very hurtful. I know I have put what hate speech is here, I have defined it, but I'd like us to have like a discussion, and I'll pick on again, or anyone can, if you have questions, you can raise your hand. We see, or you can send on the chat. What is hate speech? Dai, in your own words, what is hate speech? Good morning, Rufina. I can't hear you. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello. What is? Okay, sorry. Dai, what is hate speech in your own words?
That is public speech that expresses hate, or one that encourages violence towards a particular group or person.
Okay.
And it's usually based on factors such as race, religion, sex, like that.
Good. I don't even have to dwell on that more. Yes, it's also one of the other things we, if you think about race, religion, even skin color, like for example, I don't know if you guys have this, but we do have this in Kenya where people say if you're light skin, if you're dark skin, if you're like, there's a lot of hate directed towards people who look different from us. So basically, that's exactly what hate speech is. And most of the time when people use hate speech, they either do not know the intention, that the intention will actually harm the people, or they actually use it with the intention of harming people. So they're like, yeah, well, whatever, I'll do what I can. I want to, I don't really care. So then people get provoked, and that sometimes, almost all the time, would lead to violence. Like again, as a Kenyan, I'll give an example of, which probably I should give examples of South Sudan, but in Kenya, every time we have elections, I'm sure you guys know, we're always on the edge, like what's going to happen now? Are we going to fight? Are we going to kill anybody? Are there going to be chaos in Nairobi, in Kisumu, in Rift Valley, in various parts of the country? So which I do not know. Actually, probably one of you can give me an experience of because, like, for example, in Kenya during elections, there's a very big intensified effort towards, like, hate speech becomes more, and a lot of people hate each other even when they were never hating each other before. So let me see, Paulino, good morning again.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So I just I just want to request you for to permit me at least for 30 seconds. There's something in my sense that need me to pay attention. So if you can take that one.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I will be back.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. No problem. Let me pick someone else, or can someone lift their hands? Let me see who. Theophilus again. Rufina Isaac, your hand is up. Yes, tell me.
Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, you. How does it happen in South Sudan in terms of when elections are around the corner, in terms of hate speech in the environment, basically, especially around media?
Yeah, basically it's going to be like different parties trying to bull or to speak ill about the other group or the party. Oh yeah, mostly then you find majority of the ethnic groups, they can speak ill about the minority, and then it will create a hate speech within their community or different society, especially during elections. Yeah.
Thank you. So you find, which is quite unfortunate. I think we should be able as people to get to a point where it doesn't matter what tribe you're from, it doesn't matter how you look like, it doesn't matter if we have different values. What matters is can we coexist peacefully? Because then there's no telling, like, you don't choose where you're born. I didn't choose to be born Kenyan. I just found myself here. I mean, maybe I could have chosen, if I had a choice, maybe I could have chosen, another country that's not Kenya. So yeah. So basically that's what hate speech is. I'm going to jump into AI, artificial intelligence. I'm pretty sure you guys know what that is. I didn't really clearly identify that I'm going to talk about AI at the beginning, but then you find now in 2023, you really cannot talk about hate speech or social media or anything online and not talk about the power of AI and how it affects us. And one of the things I'll go through just quickly the things that really stand out when it comes to AI. There's AI-powered image manipulation. Like, if you think about the photos that you might have seen, photos of people, actually not even photos of people. There's this new where platforms or apps, they're connected to your social media, say your Facebook or your Twitter. You can enter your images, you can upload your images, and then it generates an AI version of you, like a prettier version of you, a more, I don't know, lean version of you, depending on what you want. If you think about how that then would affect people, it's very deep fake technology. I saw an account yesterday on Instagram that is being run entirely by an AI-powered image. Like, you don't know, it was a Black woman, beautiful Black woman, selling things, like the way influencers basically sell things. So it's a very convincing imagery of you as a person. But then what that does, especially for information, and especially for you as journalists or media professionals, is there's it presents for you a very deep problem in that you need to really verify, is this an image of Kendi? Because then if it's, deep fake technology, again, image manipulation, someone would take my, it's called what, my head, and place it on some image, on some, say, naked nude image. And then that is shared around. And not just those fake ones, not the photo, not the for altered ones. No. It's just, you can look at it and be like, oh, you don't know if it's me or if it's not me. So that for you, it's for, of course, for everybody, yes, but I find for people in media is a bit more complicated, because then what is the truth? How do you tell, people, like, for example, your parents or older generation, or people who do not know what that is, how do you convince them that it's not a true image? And then there's AI generated text, where you can fake text, like we are chatting, me and you, we're just chatting on, say, Telegram or WhatsApp, and then I can generate fake text and then screenshot that and share that around. That is very realistic, and it could, again, land a lot of people in problems. There's also chatbots, fake chatbots, or automated social media botnets, which can be designed to like mimic our conversation, like the way, say, for example, if I have maybe a boss that we've been, in bad terms with, and when you're chatting with someone, you normally know how someone sounds on chat, or how someone sounds when you're chatting to them. Then you try to probably make them look bad. When you do that, you can mimic their conversation to fit to what you do. Then it becomes very hard for them to actually convince people they were not talking to you. There's also social engineering attacks, which is basically chatbots or AI can be used to attack or impersonate individuals, organizations. I'm pretty sure you have encountered, I don't know if you guys have, but if you have encountered where someone just sends you a fake email, or there's a very long fake email generating information saying you can apply for this job. And when you look at everything, it looks real. That's also, a scam. Also, there's also, this happened to me last week, but there's someone who's trying to steal from my, it's called what, from my bank account. It's I don't know if you guys know, it's popularly known, it's an Apple, some people have impersonated Apple, and then they steal from people's accounts, like they run their transactions on your bank account, and they can actually steal money from you that way. It happened to me last week, but of course I'm not that rich, so I caught the money, because it's normally happens in small amounts of money. Like they take, for example, they could take $10, $20, $180, depending on whatever they choose at that time. And then if you're not that keen, then your money just goes. And it's a thing that it's very popular on Standard Chartered Bank. I'll send that when I'm sharing this. There's also phishing emails. That's very clear, whereby someone sends you a link and tells you can click on this link, and then you unknowingly you click on that link, fall for the scam, and maybe they hack your your computer or something like that. There's also like the social media profile I've talked about, the fake social media profile. But then instead of using it for, say, like what I said, advertising and influencing, people actually then use it to cyberbully, to spread false information. You can read more about this. This is happening quite a lot in the conflict in Ethiopia currently. And the biggest problem about that is it's very hard to counter that, because Ethiopian languages are quite complex. They're very Ethiopian oriented. So I guess also the bigger social media platforms, say Facebook, Twitter, they don't really care about local African languages, which in my opinion, I think they should. Then there's algorithmic manipulation, where social media can be used to artificially inflate metrics. I'm sure you've seen that, where people say, oh, she's bought likes, or she's manipulated her likes to have like 5,000 followers, or to amplify specific, popularities and appearances. So that's also a very rife thing on social media and AI. Identity theft. I could wake up in the morning and pretend, Angelina, I can everything. I can just leverage and analyze and mimic your behavior online and actually steal your identity and maybe reach out to people as Angelina, for example. Well, yeah, AI DDoS attacks. We had the one I've just talked about in Kenya the other week about denial of service, but then it becomes more complex when it's, AI enhanced. I do not know about the one that was in Kenya, if it was a AI enhanced DDoS attack. Maybe it was. There's also facial recognition misuse, whereby AI-powered technology can be abused for unauthorized surveillance of privacy invasion and discrimination against maybe specific groups of people. Like maybe, like if you've ever noticed when you Google things on online, most of the time, like if it's something positive, there's this conversation of actually even now when you add your image on an AI generation platform, where how you generate an image of yourself, most Black women, they will generate an image, but then they'll also generate an image of you up to your chest area, and they'll show your chest area, not of course you, because it's a manipulated image, but they over sexualize Black women, which is quite problematic, I find. So yeah, I have talked for a long period of time. I'm pretty sure there's a few questions on this part. Are there any questions that I can take before I continue? No? Okay. So then, if there are no questions at the moment, AI is not entirely bad. There's also benefits to AI. There's education, for example. If you about ChatGPT, of course, you're told to not use it for every information. You need to learn how to use it correctly, and you need to, it can generate for you, say, foundation text, and then you can build up on that foundation text, maybe add references, add factual information. So that's a very good use for AI. There's also using it for early warning and early response, which is basically, it helps you analyze data, satellite data, and provides real information during disasters, which can then help governments or people who provide help. But the unfortunate thing is our governments don't use it for this. There's also accessibility. I'm sure you've seen where people have used have arms or legs that are improved, that have been powered, such as sometimes you have to charge your leg, and then your new leg now has to operate like just a normal leg, but then so it sort of mimics you as a person, how your body behaves. So that's a good thing. It has also predictive analytics, whereby it can analyze historical data and patterns. But unfortunately, especially for this predictive analytic is, it really has to learn the things it has. That thing we used to learn when you started learning about computers, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you feed it is whatever it's going to give us. So it's, if you want it to give you accurate analytics, you have to give it accurate information. Then that way it's not going to be able to, it's not going to give you wrong information. Otherwise, it's just a human technology like any other, and it can be abused. And then there's automation, which is, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because automation of processes means the people who are doing those jobs, say like, for example, some administrative tasks that are very repetitive, they can be used, they can be automated, but then that means also people lose their jobs. So, which is, I believe, the next point on my slide. Yes, there is going to be, job displacement, especially in terms of customer support. Like, for example, nowadays you can chat on any chatbot, you can call a service and you can probably receive a voice message that is, AI influenced. So, which is quite unfortunate, because then people lose their livelihoods, people lose sources of income, and also it sort of as in that if we rely too much on AI, there's also an aspect of lack of socialization as a people. You're just like, yeah, I'm comfortable, I'm in my own space, so I don't need, many other things, which is the human touch is lost, I guess, which is not entirely a good thing. Questions? Orayo, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Do you have questions? Have you caught anything that I've talked a bit too quickly?
Thank you. Not really, because I've just joined the class, but actually, I'll maybe catch up with you guys. Yeah.
No problem, no problem. So we move on to social media and conflict. When you talk about social media and conflict, I think we've talked about this not extensively. We've touched on it at the beginning when we talked about hate speech, when we talked about, propaganda, but then there are ways that you can identify dangerous speech. And most of the time, which it's quite unfortunate, if you don't counter hate speech, there's a chance that hate speech is going to turn into dangerous speech. And most of the time, 100%, like probably 99% of the time, dangerous speech turns to violence, because dangerous speech is used to call for violence. Dangerous speech, it's not that clear. It's very subtle in that you would think it's not that impactful, but then later on it's like, oh, this happened. And also it tends to be used a lot by it tends to be used a lot by high profile speakers. When I say high profile speakers, I mean politicians, I mean influencers, I mean even like when I say influencers, politicians, journalists, very popular journalists in the country, at least in Kenya. I do know even in South Sudan, there's, very popular journalists, because then what happens is when you have high profile speakers, this also includes religious leaders, community leaders. They are people who are trusted with authority, and there are people who, when they say something, people tend to listen a lot. And when they listen, they will probably be like, yeah, because this person cannot possibly lie to us, then they'll act on the things that the person said. So that's also quite, I find that quite problematic. So there's ways to counter hate speech or dangerous speech or these high profile statements before they become dangerous speech. And one of the ways is you ask these people to take back their statements. Like if you find politicians who are very, rowdy, like you find every time there's elections in Kenya, there's always that one person who says something and then they're pressured by the media to take back their statement. We have this, now he's the trade minister, he's called Moses Kuria. He's quite volatile when he speaks. So when he got into his cabinet position sometime beginning of this year, he said very terrible things about media professionals, like really quite unprintable stuff. And then what happens is the media houses called him out. They asked him, you cannot say this, the constitution allows for, freedom of expression. The constitution in Kenya allows for protection of media professionals. So you have to retract your statement. So he ended up apologizing. A lot of times they don't end up doing that. So, but I mean, you really, really have to try. And then the other one is talk to other high profile people in their circles to make statements on hate speech, to talk about how harmful is hate speech, for example. If you think about the impact of Nelson Mandela, I'm pretty sure we all know Nelson Mandela and the things that he said, about being hateful, about apartheid, about how apartheid is, not a good, it's not good, or just the bare minimum things that he said, because he's so high profile. Even if he would say a very small statement, people would then listen and go with that. There's also this number 3 is quite controversial, but it's also a thing. You have government agencies ensuring that very high profile speakers do not use hate speech words or inciting statements, which it's a good thing, but then it sort of is prone to abuse. I will use an example of my country, and probably someone can give me an example of your country, South Sudan. I'll come back here and pick someone. In Kenya, for example, we have had very high, many high profile individuals use words that cause harm. But then the government is the government, which it shouldn't be, because we've elected them to, be serve us as a population. But then what they do is, like, for example, now currently what we are seeing in this country is there's a lot of high profile individuals who are, say, in court with specific cases, who are being charged for specific things, but then the government just allows those people to get away with the hate speech and whatever they did, because then it's the government that is in power. So that's quite unfortunate. So that point is, it's a good point, but not a good point, because it's on the edge of, it sort of would, in my opinion, abuse democracy. So I don't know if you guys have an example for number 3, or even any one of these 1, 2, 3 in South Sudan. I'll let you guys put your hands up and give us an example. I don't think I should pick people for this one. I could pick people because I know you know, but then please feel free to volunteer. No one? Wow, so am I boring? I hope not. I feel like I'm just talking by myself. Angelina, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm okay. Yeah. You're not talking alone. Sorry, I also had some internet breakdowns.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, you are not alone. When we consider number 3, saying that government agencies ensure high-profile individuals don't use hate speech for the case of our country of South Sudan. Yeah, this is. It could be true that all high-profile politicians, they shouldn't be using hate speech because they are of a public figure and they're there serving everyone. But it also depends on on individual characters. Yeah. Others might be that bias. Juma, you check at the baby. Sorry, my children's house.
No, it's fine. It's what we do. It's fine. It's life.
So it will depend on how individual characters is. Some politicians are very arrogant and they wouldn't mind even if in the middle of their speech, they wouldn't mind that they're okay, let's say when they're talking or when they're speaking, others might be having that intention in their heart that they want to at least throw a word that can relate to a hate speech, considering a different tribe and all this, also the political affiliations that they have.
Yeah,
it is normal, and I think in politics, such words you are given a time, to express, but not in depth. That's why sometimes when you gave an example of Kenya, it might be very brutal at some point, like the words is speaking out, but later on he realized when he's calm, he realized that it shouldn't be like this. So politicians, they have their own smart ways that they can still express their hate speech indirectly. But just in short, they do. Some politicians in our country, they really do give incitement of words that relate to hate speech. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Someone else? I'm gonna pick on people now. GB Moses. Good morning. You've been here since the beginning. No? Okay. Does someone have something else to add apart from what Angelina has said and what I have said? No? Okay. All right. So my next slide is going to talk about the targets of online hate speech. I'm not going to dwell so much on this because I do think you probably have had a session on it, but mostly the people who use hate speech, they use it towards groups of people that are most of the time either marginalized or they don't have they don't have like a say on things. So I would imagine, like, if you look at tribal groups, people would be talking bad against each other, against specific tribal groups. Women, that's unfortunately systemically, women have always been bigger targets of hate speech online. The LGBTQ community, I'm gonna leave that at that. And then I'd like you to reflect about this by yourself. Like, have you or someone you know been attacked online because of your ethnicity or tribe? Like, someone comes and tells you, oh, I know you belong to this tribe, so in this tribe, you're this way. And sometimes it's quite harmless. Like, for example, if I think about, so I don't think I have been attacked online, but then there are statements that have been made jokingly towards me because, so I am from Meru, it's a small tribe in Kenya. There's the assumption, there's the stereotype that Merus have when we get angry, we get very, very angry at the point sometimes we apparently kill people. I'm not going to say that has not happened, but then I don't think that's also a good point to have on an entire tribe. It's like, in my head, it's a bad stereotype, because then it means even if I've never had somebody, there's always the assumption that because you belong to this specific tribe, I can trust you. So I can say whatever I can, whatever it is I want to say about you, in relation to your tribe. In that way, if I feel attacked, then for me that it's an aspect of hate speech. So yeah, there's that. So I will just move on from this slide a bit faster. Then there's conflict. I have talked about conflict and how hate speech becomes dangerous speech. And dangerous speech is any form of expression that can increase the risk that people will commit or condone violence against members of any other group, a group that you do not identify with. As long as you would, even if you sit silently and just watch any other group being hurt, and not say anything to, counter the hate speech, then that's a bit problematic. And all the time, I think, even as a people, or you as a journalist, especially when you're thinking about it in a professional manner, always reflect back on if this has been said this way, maybe there's something that I can say to counter the impacts that would come from hate speech, that hopefully it doesn't turn into dangerous speech. This is the same explanation, and it's normally across languages, cultures, countries, and over periods of time. Like if you think about, for example, Nazi Germany, it just starts small, it starts slowly. What was his name? Hitler was, against the Jews, and he was very hell-bent on making sure he cleans up the, white race of all Jewish genetic makeup, or his ideal human being was, white blonde person with blue eyes, that everybody else was an anomaly or was subpar or below. So, and it started slowly. When you feed people news or information about things slowly, and they build up over time without even knowing, they actually do cause harm. Because if I give an example also of, if you look at historically, Rwanda, the way I've mentioned this before, the way the conflict in Rwanda grew until it got to a point of genocides. Most of the time, hate speech would actually lead to genocide. But then you're sitting there, you're thinking, no, I'm just saying this, it's just a joke, it's a small, but it's really not. Things slowly build up and cause, harm to people. Another good example is, if you think about Kenya in the 2007-2008 post-election violence, we have a very polarized country, which I think probably, I don't know if South Sudan is as polarized as Kenya is, but when we're not in election mood, we love each other, we're fantastic, we're so good, we're so amazing. But every single time there's elections, even the people you work with, even your neighbors, there's a very high tension in the air that you can sometimes even cut, because then people sort of keep to themselves, like, oh yeah, no, I belong to this tribe, I can vote for this person. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm seeing a lot of text. Oh, I've seen messages now. I couldn't see them earlier. If I call you and you can't speak, it's okay. I'll probably pick it up on later. Then the next slide is, so I'm going to talk about how to identify dangerous speech. And these are the hallmarks, the things that you need to be, look out for, the things that you need to be very keen on when you talk about, when you, that you can recognize about dangerous speech, how hate speech or how conflict or how conversation, just any rhetoric can actually be identified as dangerous speech. So first one is dehumanization, whereby if you find people are describing other people in ways, I hope my internet is still fine. People are, people are describing other people in ways that deny or diminish their humanity or their existence. Again, like we talked about the example for Nazi Germany. The way Hitler was sure the standard human being, the perfect human being should be blonde, tall, blue eyes, white as a ghost. That's okay, that's not a good thing. The ghost part is it's a bad way to describe things, but you get it. Then there's accusation in a mirror. Accusation in a mirror is whereby you reverse reality by suggesting that the intended target of violence will instead commit it. In that you say, no, I'm doing this in advance so that I protect myself, because them from that tribe, they always attack us. So we have to make sure we do this in advance so that then those people, they don't get a chance to attack us. There's also threat to group purity, whereby if you as a person speak out, you probably risk, the people in your tribe look at the risk of you're damaging the in-group relationship, that you're supposed to stand with us even if we are killing other people. Do not tell us that it's wrong, in that then you're not good for us, you're not good for the group, so we sort of would probably even harm you. Then there's insufficient in-group loyalty, which again, it's the same thing that I've just said, but then if you're sympathetic to other people, again, so this now causes you as a group member, you being harmed. And then also the second one, the threat to group purity, in that you're damaging our reputation as a group. And then there's assertion of attack on women. This is very straightforward. I know probably a lot of the guys in this group here are like, oh, but she's very passionate about women. She's talking about women a lot. Unfortunately, historically, systemically, if you think about how much women have had to deal with, it's a bit more than men have had to deal with. And I'm not saying men do not also face gender-based violence. They do face gender-based violence, but 80% of the population that face gender-based violence, it's women. It could be physical, it could be financial, it could be social. It just is always one of the things that you could help with. This is be an ally, speak about it, or call out things that are happening against women, or also do not do things that are harmful to women. Do not reinforce harmful stereotypes. The other thing is emotional appeal, whereby people use emotions to trigger and incite anger, resentment, fear, or outrage. This is very, very common with politicians when they speak and start being, loud. Oh, you shouldn't vote for this person. That is, they're appealing to your emotions so that then you and them can be on the same level. And then you can be able to probably, maybe they'll incite you to do something, or they'll incite you to be in a bit of fear, which there's an example of a case that was in Kenya the other day, like last week, where some politician stole a lot of money from parents, and then he was trying to, they were trying to instill some fear in them, but then I guess people are tired, so that didn't work. Then there's scapegoating, whereby it assigns blame for societal problems. Like, for example, we can say women are being, they don't get equal opportunity, or they don't get a fair compensation at work, which is quite true, then you say, but no, that's normal. That's just how society works. Unfortunately, that's not how society works. That's how we have allowed society to work. And if we don't, like, you will to find ways to basically shift things to not, unfairly attack other groups of people, or be fair to all groups in the community, or not even foster hostility towards other communities. So we have finished hallmarks of dangerous speech. I'll ask again if there are questions. I don't want to be talking by myself. If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me any moment, and I will stop. The next point is we'll talk about lexicon of hate speech terms. So these are just common hate speech expressions, things that you don't think that, sometimes you don't even think they're hateful, but then they are hateful. Like, for example, if I think about a very common example that I think probably maybe a lot of people in Africa would recognize it, when people say, it's a Nigerian term, it's when people say, when someone calls a woman Asha, they're calling you a prostitute. It's a very commonly used term. In that, then that is it's demeaning to you. So, and we use these words in day-to-day, any word specifically, actually, that can be used outside its own meaning can also be considered hateful. I got some examples from South Sudan, which I'm sure they're very old examples. And at this point, I would like all of you to probably help me with some more new words, but let me show you what I have. So I'll share this, you'll be able to access this information, a lexicon of hate speech terms. This was done by Peace Tech Lab in 2018. This is not South Sudanese, this is Cameroonian, but it's also relevant. It sort of shows you how societies actually use these terms and words over the course of time, and how these things change. But yeah, so South Sudan. I will pick on all of you, because then I need at least you to give me a context, or give us a context of these words that I have here. So if I look at, for example, MTN, what does MTN mean? I know MTN is the mobile MTN, but then when you use it outside of its normal usage, what does it mean? Rufina? Sorry, I'm just speaking on anyone now.
Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, basically, they mean like majority of ethnic group in South Sudan, they are like everywhere. That's why they give them that, they call them like MTN. Like
so who
everywhere
is
they are. Like other people, they use it like to describe them, because they're in every part of the world. Like you go to Uganda, you find them, they are many. You go to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Alakir, when in South Sudan, when you say kokora, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. What do you mean? What does that mean? Alakir?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, I think this is the first time I'm hearing about this. I don't know exactly what it means.
So you and I are new. Okay. Is there any word that you recognized on this one? You recognize on these words that it's a hate speech expression?
I think it's only the MTN thing. I think that was during the 2013, 2016 is when people used a lot of MTN, calling other people MTN. Yeah, that's the one that I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just pick on anyone and everyone just in case because I found these online. So I'm in my assumption these are correct. So maybe they're not. And that's why I said when I began, their live words, they change every single day. Like that one word could be used as a hate speech term today, but then it couldn't. And the following day couldn't, because I remember when I was doing this training, I think like 2 years ago, I used some of these words and most of them were recognizable. So let's see. Die. Hello. Die with the butterfly on the end.
Yes.
Is there any of these terms that you recognize as a hate speech expression, like that it's used outside of its normal meaning?
So there is the nyam nyam.
What does it mean?
It's used to refer to like a group, a sect of people. Like you're looking at people and you feel like they're worthless. You get maybe because like the ethnicity, like the number is less compared to the ones that are more. So it's more like you guys do not even have the power, authority, something like that.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there another one? Sorry, now you know.
Not really.
No?
No, I cannot with the rest. The MTN was already talked about and the Kokora, so yeah.
Kokora, she said she doesn't know what Kokora means.
Hello? Yes?
Do you know what Kokora means?
Kokora, I think literally it just means, I think it's like a separation, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Angelina, I can see your hand is up.
Yeah, just to add on Nyam Nyam and Meru, you know, these are, okay, let's say first in Nyam Nyam, just as explained by my colleague. In another way, people consume it like people who like eating, you know.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, and that is extreme, you know, hate speech because everyone is eating. So why do you have to term a separate group like they love eating more? When it comes to Norway, this is a hate speech that originated during the South Sudan civil war, whereby many people were considering like it was just a fight between Nuer and Dinka, and then some group of people, you know, who are politically, you know, they have, in politics, you have choice. So for those, let's say for the Nuer that was still supporting the government and all this, you know, having the two warring parties that separated, other Nuer that had the mentality, they thought that it was only a fight targeting Nuer, and it was between the largest group in the country, that is Nuer and Dinka. For the other Nuer that remain following the government, so they were termed like these are the Nuer that were bribed using money to fight for their own country.
Okay.
So yeah, that is what is called where, which is in Dinka language, and that means money. And then when you look at it, you know, it's like because not everyone understood the the conflict. So it was an abusive hate speech toward other Nuers that were still following their political, you know, choice, like to remain with the government. Yeah, so it's like they termed them like that. They were bribed with money.
Thank you. Rufina, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, I want to add on the word Kokora. Has anyone clarify me? Like it's the term speech that identifying people as they are discriminated, they have grouped themselves into different groups. It was
Yeah.
being used in the movement those days.
Okay, thank you so much. But do you see what I mean when I say, so if I go back to my slide, sorry, if I go back to my first slide on, okay, I can see Theophilus's hand is up. Let me finish the statement one moment. If I go to this, common hate speech expressions are living documents that change as new words are used and others go into disuse. So you'll find there's a lot of words that were used then, but now they don't really mean anything. They're not hateful because they then went back to just being used as normal words. So they, in that way, they became disused as hate speech expressions. Okay, Theophilus.
Okay, thank you very much once again. And based on the common hate speech expression in South Sudan, more especially on this that you have actually outlined, actually represented into different languages. And I want to add something based on Kokora, because it may mean actually something in a different language within the tribes that are actually within South Sudan. But more especially, I'm going just to base on, they actually are using this language, these words also, as a hate speech, more especially for the corrupt people, for the tribalic groups, those who are actually, they use Kokora just as a hate speech to abuse them. Sometimes when somebody maybe tends to be in the office and he or she is actually very corrupt and they use Kokora, that this person is doing Kokora and he's not allowing our people to be in that office. And the issue tribalism and all, they just use it, and these are the group which actually using this very Kokora in Eastern Equatorial Territory. They actually, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful because also you find, like you said, someone could be hateful in some community, but then in another community it's not. Yeah. Hello, Mabior. Mabor. Mabor Riak. Okay. You've muted yourself. So we have come to the end of my presentation. If you have questions or things that you want to ask in regards to the presentation today, now is the time to ask them. And I can see 2 hands are up. So let me see. I'm going to start with Angelina.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. There was one last hate speech that is insect. I didn't get it correctly.
Yes.
And I would like also to know more elaboration about it.
I actually
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so let me go to where it was. I remember when the last time I used this, I actually also didn't know. I added it because someone in a group that I was talking to said it's also in the way that you have described, is it you? No, it's probably die. Nyam nyam, in that people who are worthless, and that's what it was used for, specific smaller groups who were worthless, and they were not really, like they were not seen as that influential, and then you can sort of step on them, you can walk over them as you go towards, because they're not such a majority tribe in South Sudan, then you can walk over them as you go to, when you're making decisions, because they don't have a
yes, I wanted to talk about this issue here. Can you allow me to talk about this issue of Nyam Nyam?
Okay.
The word Nyam Nyam, the Dinka actually they categorize, some tribe, based on their identification. Based on their identification, this is where the word nyam nyam came about. Even before I was being born, this word was existing. The word nyam nyam, the word nyam nyam. It's not people who love eating. You see, these are people whose their teeth, upper teeth and lower teeth are isn't it? They are kept. They are kept, and these are specifically the Azande. These are according to, because I'm from Rumbek, really. And mostly the Azande people, they have their teeth kept. Their teeth is kept. They ban. They ban it. Especially here, those big trees, the prawn trees one. They are made. They look like that trees of James Wanega. Let me take an example. These are people the Dinka of Rumbek refer as nyam nyam, because their trees, they are actually look like that. They call them nyam nyam, and also they are brown. You see, this is how they call them. The other one is Dor. Dor is like Bari. They don't have all those tribes. Those tribes that do not have the trees. Their trees are kept. They are called Dor. These are these were the Dor and Nyam Nyam, because they categorize the Equatorian into two, Nyam Nyam and Dor. Nyam Nyam, they are Equatorian from Western Equatoria, Azande. They have their trees actually kept. And Dor, these are those who are not given those kind of marks or trees, kept. This is how they categorize it. It is not because they eat too much and whatever, according to Dinka Rumbek. I don't know the other Dinka how they describe, but according to Dinka Rumbek, they say that they categorize, they identify Azande by trees, by their trees. And they identified, and they identified Dor as someone without, their trees being actually given any cap.
Thank you.
The other thing that I wanted to clarify from there is Nuerweo. This word, come from the Nuer themselves. It is not coming from any tribe anywhere in South Sudan. Nuer themselves, after the violence, there were some Nuers who remained in the government, and there were some Nuers who followed the movement, who followed the 2016, yeah. You see, the Nuer that have gone to the bush, they call the Nuer that have remained in the government as Nuerweo. It was not from any tribe in South Sudan. This word did not come from any tribe in South Sudan. The Nuer themselves, they were the one abusing themselves. They called the other one, that the Nuer that is left in the government as Nuerweo. And the Nuer that have gone to the bush, they say that we are actually the real Nuer. You see, this is how it come about. Yeah, this is some clarification that I wanted to make. I don't know how the other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mabor. Orayo, I can see your hand is up now.
Thank you. Can you hear me loud and clear, please?
Yes, we can.
There is also something about a certain community in Western Bahr Ghazal that is involved. I wish there is the recent speaker that has just dropped down. I wish actually I thought you would mention something about it. We have a
because
tribe.
I don't know them.
No, the last speaker, my colleague who is.
Okay, Mabor.
Yeah, Mabor, exactly. There is a tribe. They call themselves by themselves. They call themselves the Lul, but then. They are called Jurchol, even in the documentation, the name that is used is Jurchol. But then I think it has been a big campaign for almost, it actually started, I think, by 2015. They doesn't entertain that name anymore. That doesn't need to be called Jurchol. So it is also something which is one of the, I think, they consider it as hate speech because they doesn't like the part of them. And
Yeah.
historically, I know the Luo community has originated in South Sudan, and that is wow,
That's
of course.
true.
So they are trying to maintain the name because these are the actually they became the minority community there in that region. But indeed, it is a little bit right because they are the law that has remained in the land of origin. But then later, because they became very few, and education also became something which is, most of them are not, were not educated. So there were some changes later popped up, and this name Jurchol was imposed on them, and it is now a big topic that they are trying to put it away. People are trying to impose it on them. So yeah, I believe it is one of the common head speech.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much. In case there's more examples that you guys have, we have a few more minutes, you can give me more examples. But basically, you see from the conversations that we're having, these words that were used historically, then they sort of lose meaning, so that you find if you're younger, you don't think that word is hateful, or you don't even realize that word ever existed. So in your head, you're like, oh no, I've never had that. But then when you are explained to, about that specific word, then it makes sense. So it's also the same in here in Kenya. Also, one of the things that we have, which I don't know if you guys have, we have, I think everybody in the world has, you have, it's called it, you have a colloquial language that, for example, I would assume in Juba, there's Arabic Juba, and there new, but I don't speak Arabic. There are very many words that would probably mean different words in Arabic that have been added into the new, say Arabic Juba, which, for example, in Kenya, if I use an example, so we have a language that's called Sheng. It's sort of like an urban language that's just, sometimes I used to think I know Sheng, now I don't. I think I'm old. They have new words every day, and someone will call you something, you're like, okay. So it's societies grow and change. And I think one of the things that we need to be cognizant of, especially as media professionals, I would say mostly, especially for you, is because things change so quickly, you have to be really, really in touch with so many things that are happening as we go, so that then when some word is probably used wrongly in an article, or when you're doing a presentation, or when you're doing when you're reporting news, you don't say things that would be harmful or could cause conflict to people. So yeah, that's basically it. I do not have much more, fortunately or unfortunately. I don't know which is which.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I just want to, there is also a time I went to Yambio. That was 2000. I was studying in Yambio. I learned a language called Aworo. I don't know what does it mean, Aworo, in Azande. Aworo, something to do with Aworo. What does it mean? When someone describes you as Aworo, someone just call you Aworo.
Orayo is laughing. He knows. What does it mean, Orayo?
No. I'm not quite sure, but okay, there were some, conversations that I used to go across in the streets, but I'm not quite sure that is true.
Okay, maybe Port knows. I can see a hand up. I don't know if you're doing. I don't know if you're someone going to say anything. What?
Yes, thank you, madam. Not really. I don't know the word, but I also have another term that I also want to know.
Questions are very welcome.
Yes, so let me put it there. Maybe somebody knows it. These are head speech. Like, let's take for example, nyam nyam. This nyam nyam, for people who do not know, it is head speech. You can just use it for actually calling a certain tribe, nyam nyam. Okay. So when you do so, somebody will actually call you Jange. I don't know this Jange. What does it mean actually? Somebody knows.
Maboro or Rayo, one of them will know, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mabor, what does that mean?
Yes. Yeah. Our people, they have so many descriptions.
Yeah.
Like Jurchol, now Jurchol, they don't like it again to be called Jurchol because it is a description. People are described based on what they do, on how they look like. Sometimes they call them Jurchol, maybe because of their skin, because of their dark skin. They can call Jurchol that way. And then they call Dinka Oro because they move, they always move from here and there. Sometimes Oro mean a foreigner, sometimes in Azande, in Azande language, because I was there. That was my place of studies when I was in primary. These languages, they are based on how people behave, the behavior of people, and how people look like. This is how people describe themselves. That time, sometimes it caused people to be, angered and all this when a person call you Oro. Or as they call Dinga, or you will happen to explain yourself. How can you become a foreigner in another part of South Sudan? The word Oro mean a foreigner sometime in Azande language. I don't know if there are some guys there also they may correct it, but this is how I learned it last time. But
I'm interested to know, Jange.
Yeah, I'm very interested to know Azande. Yeah, it's a very good language. Yeah, Jenga the same mean Jeng. Sometimes they call Jenga, but Jenga in other words, this word come from the door. They are the one referring Jenga. Jenga sometimes through the description. If you go and do some research, why they call Dinka Jenga sometimes, you may get them, trying to put some kind of, how they look like and how they drive cattle and all this. Sometimes there are some things related to that. Even sometimes, we have some other tribe also from Jurubel. They are near to us, Irumbek. Jurubel, they are part of lakes. Even they are from Wulu. If some people know Wulu, Wulu is actually near to Western Equatoria and Mambolo. Wulu is near to Mambolo. These people, they call us Jongo. Jongo, yeah, they call us Jongo. Jongo mean Dinka also. They say Jongo. But that time when we were very small children, they used to, describe us as Jongo. Because Jongo, they call us like that because the way we drive cattle and the way we move with things that belong to pastoralists, especially they like to move, they move with some shelters and all this with cattle and all this. They keep on migrating with cattle. So from there, they used to describe people like that. They say Jongo. See, Jongo Jai, Jongo Mayo, and all this. These are the words they use. When they arrive with cattle, they use all these words. People, sometimes people get surprised. What are these people saying? See, so calling or name calling, sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's based on how people look like.
That's true. That's very, very true. All right. Thank you so much.
To add on Mabor, what you have just said now, like the name Jenge mostly this Arab who used to call Dinkas gender because they normally migrate from one place to another with the patrols all the time. And also MTN, mostly I heard it when one of my cousins was traveling from Juba to Yei. So they were stopped in a checkpoint and there were some militias during the conflict. The checkpoint and they were like asking, do we have MTN here? As MTN, as MTN or something like that. And my brother was like, he knows this language.
I'm losing you a bit.
What has been come again?
Oh, we were losing you a bit. Carry on.
Yeah, my network is a little bit poor.
Okay.
So yeah, so this has some kind of hate speech we normally use.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I guess thank you so much for engaging me to such a interesting conversation, because at least I didn't speak by myself. You all spoke to me and with me, and I've also learned quite a bit. That's it. That's the end of our session today. Unless there's someone who has a very pressing question, but this presentation will be shared to you, I believe, by Bida. And thank you. If you have anything more to add, you can probably add, about the in the discussion group. I'm pretty sure you guys have a discussion group. You can talk about, the new hate speech terms that are coming up. You can talk about the effects of AI on social media, how to, counter that, because now we have to teach ourselves new ways to survive on social media. As much as we love it, it's also, we need to use it very keenly. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and have a very wonderful day.